Okay, good afternoon. It's now 2 p.m. I want to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Directors, San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District. Today is Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. And will you please all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Director Keelhold?
Here.
Director Longville?
Here.
Director Velasquez?
Here.
And Vice President Boteo?
Here.
We have a quorum. The board is present. Let the record reflect President Harrison is not present.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Public comment. Members of the public may address the board regarding any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. However, no action may be taken on off-agenda items except as authorized by law. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Mr. Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Mr. Chair, I did not receive any requests to speak to the public that's present online and in person. If you wish to provide a public comment, please raise your hand to be recognized. Nothing seen, Mr. Chair.
Okay, hearing none, seeing none, let's move on. Discussion and possible action items. Discussion item 2.1 is going to be brought to us today by our Chief of Water Resources, Michael Polinsky. We're going to consider State Water Project water transfer from Crestline to Lake Arrowhead Water Agency for up to 2,000 acre feet. Mr. Polinsky.
Thank you, Vice President Mateo and members of the board. I'm pleased to be back in front of you. I haven't been here in a couple of months. A lot has been happening on the State Water Project, and I have an update for that here on a later item. But before you today is a consideration, again, for a CLAWA transfer of up to 2,000 acre feet. And as a reminder, in April of 2025, San Bernardino Valley and Crestline Lake Arrowhead Water Agency entered into a long-term agreement for State Water Project transfers. And that was to maximize the efficient use of water delivered through the State Water Project for the benefit of both agencies. And we had been talking throughout the year, but in July of 2026, just last month, CLAWA's board of directors declared a 2,000 acre feet surplus to their needs. And both CLAWA and San Bernardino Valley staff have been coordinating, and we see a benefit to both agencies to transfer this water. As kind of background information, San Bernardino Valley's 2026 State Water Project Delivery Plan, we had received about 51,000 acre feet of State Water Project orders, specifically about 39,000 acre feet of direct delivery and about 12,000 acre feet of recharge orders. However, our net imported water supply available to San Bernardino Valley was about 35,000. And so, every year we're kind of faced with developing an operational plan to deliver this water. And in some years we have more water than demand, and in some years we have more demand than water. And it's always kind of a balancing act, and it's dynamic throughout the year. But our common practice is to prioritize actual direct delivery needs and recharge orders committed to by agreement. And so that's what we did this year. And what that left us was about 9,000 acre feet of recharge orders that we were unable to fulfill, and we put them on hold. But since the development of our initial State Water Project Delivery Plan, we have received roughly 375 acre feet of Yuba Accord water that we could add to our supply portfolio. Before you today is this consideration of 2,000 acre feet of CLAWA water. But you can see that still leaves us short about 6,500 acre feet of unfulfilled recharge orders. Our goal is to really maximize all the orders we received. And so if we move forward today with CLAWA, that will help. But also, as you guys may recall, there's a lot of time that our direct delivery orders, the retail agencies request more water than they physically take. And so our plan this year that we have remaining unfulfilled orders is we are going to reach out to the retail agencies in September, and we're going to coordinate with them and ask them for specific deliveries in October, November, and December. And whatever they do not, aren't able to take based on their initial order, we're going to reallocate that and try and fulfill our recharge orders. Also, we are considering potentially modifying our 10,000 acre feet of carryover that we're proposing in San Luis Reservoir, moving into 2027, really because of the super wet El Nino that's anticipated. And so potentially that water supply, Tlawa water, Yuba water, we're really hoping again to fulfill the recharge orders. And so with that, staff's recommendation is to direct the CEO general manager to proceed with a 2026 State Water Project water transfer from the Crestline Lake Arrowhead Water Agency to San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District for up to 2,000 acre feet. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Michael. That was excellent. Board, any questions? No?
What's the cost?
The cost, there is no money transferred between agencies. The long-term agreement, it is that for every acre foot we would receive this year, we would owe them 0.5 acre feet in the future up to 10 years. And then at 10 years, that obligation expires.
Thank you, sir. So board, what is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to direct our GEO to proceed with the State Water Project water transfer from Crestline Lake Arrowhead to our district for up to 2,000 acre feet.
Second.
Great. We have a first and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call roll.
Director Kehoe,
Aye.
Director Velasquez,
Yes.
Director Lonville,
Yes.
and Vice President Mateo.
Yes.
The motion carries. The staff recommendation for item 2.1 is approved.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, discussion item 2.2. It's going to be brought to us today by Sayer Pinto, our Principal Water Resources Analyst, Kai Polenskers. Kai, are you going to join? Are you going to, okay, Joanna? And Greg Herzog, Principal Water Resources Analyst. We're going to consider the joint funding agreements for the fiscal year 26-27 cooperative programs with the United States Geological Survey, USGS.
Thank you, Vice President Mateo.
Yes.
Members of the board, good afternoon. Today, we are bringing you 3 different agreements for the cooperative program with the USGS for fiscal year 26-27. This will include 3 components: the hydrologic data collection and monitoring program, which I will present, the water resources investigations, which Greg Herzog will present, and the native fishes survey and data analysis, and a 3-year agreement for continuing the native fish surveys presented by Joanna Gibson. Starting, I also wanted to acknowledge that online we have Jeffrey Cromwell and Brock Huntsman, and then in person we have Jonathan Newby, who manages the Redlands office. For the hydrologic data collection and monitoring program, this is a foundational agreement with the USGS that is managed by Jonathan Newby at the Redlands field office. The data they collect daily and throughout the year, they monitor, measure, collect, and maintain stream flow, precipitation, and groundwater level data. All of this data collected supports several programs that you'll see listed here: the Western San Bernardino Water Master, the Santa Ana River Water Master, UKIPA Sustainable Groundwater Management Agency, or UKIPA SIGMA, Basin Technical Advisory Committee and related committees, or BTAC, Integrated Groundwater Model Development and Calibration, the Habitat Conservation Plan, or the HCP, Basin Optimization Efforts, the Rialto Basin Groundwater Council, or RBGC, and the Forecast Informed Reservoir Operation, or FIRO. I personally pull data from the USGS at least monthly, and then during the Water Master seasons, several of these stations are reported directly in the tables in the supplemental volumes of the Western San Bernardino and Santa Ana River Water Master reports, annual reports. So this data is, we kind of can't move forward without a lot of it, or at least not as accurately. And while they might not be as adorable or fuzzy as the SBKR or the fish that you will see in additional photos, they could also be considered an endangered species. But here are several of our wonderful staff members from the Redlands Field Office. We have technicians performing several maintenance and measurements, as you can see here. Thank you again, Jonathan, for providing these. And then I think I will pass it over to, nope. The total program cost for this particular hydrologic data collection and monitoring program is $1,344,760. The USGS does contribute $159,000. The Water Master Partners will contribute just over $300,000, bringing the net cost after reimbursement to $885,614 for this program. And that will cover the water year from October 1st, 2026 through September 30th, 2027. And now I will pass it over to Greg.
Greg, if you don't mind, we're gonna stop right there. Board, any questions for Pinto? Hearing none. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Sarah, and good afternoon, Board of Directors. Greg Herzog, and I'll be speaking on the Water Resource Investigations Program that we do with the USGS. This has been a partnership for many decades from, working on the judgment, and the USGS were involved in better identifying the basin to the high groundwater years to our groundwater modeling efforts. And we continue those efforts and always, looking ahead and trying to better understand all of the groundwater basins within our area. And so this slide captures the efforts that were done over this last fiscal year. Jeff and his team have done a remarkable job. It's hard to capture all of the things that they do in a slide. It's very technical and a lot of awesome figures. I'm doing my best to highlight it and happy to answer any additional questions, both here or in the future. But so over the last year, Jeff's team, they've gone ahead and done repair and rehab and maintenance work on 5 of our multi-level monitoring well sites. They've collected groundwater samples from those well sites. And these aren't just regular groundwater samples, but they're also looking at kind of these markers for geochemical signatures that help us to track and source the sources of groundwater. They also have collected surface water samples. In addition to that, they have kind of these 3 longer term efforts that they've been working on, looking at the hydrostratigraphy of our basin, which is essentially trying to characterize the aquifer. And again, it helps kind of better understand how groundwater moves through the aquifer. They've been looking at basin inflows and using what's called a basin characterization model, where they look at rainfall and the hydrology and the rainfall occurring within the mountains and foothill areas, and then how that rainfall interacts with both the vegetation and the geology ultimately coming in as runoff into the basin. And so they've been working on this model and calibrating it. And so now they're also looking at kind of these future climate projections and what the hydrology in the future could look like. And so that helps us to better prepare for tomorrow. And then also they've been looking at some geophysics in the vicinity of recharge areas, specifically enhanced recharge. They were out there, I believe, in the springtime for a few days using different methods, different tools to essentially map what we can't see, which is beneath our feet. And at enhanced recharge, we know that area is awesome. It recharges a lot of water. And we just want to continue our understanding with that as we move into additional recharge efforts like PERC and active recharge, and really enhance all the water going into the basin. We're hoping that this geophysical effort will really just help understand kind of the getaway capacity and how the recharge water moves further into the basin. A lot of these efforts are occurring within the San Bernardino Basin. They've also been working in the Yucaipa Basin, looking at sources of groundwater recharge. And so all of these efforts, the data is made public through data releases or publications. Here's a couple images of the work that was being done when they were out at enhanced recharge area doing the geophysical studies. And then on the left is a figure, just an excerpt from kind of looking at that basin runoff. And this one in particular is looking at the wildfires, and that has an effect on the vegetation and thus the runoff. And so these efforts, they're working on them, and they will ultimately be released in a public data release, like I said. And so in this coming year, it's essentially kind of continuing these efforts that I just talked about, looking at groundwater sampling and the geochemical signatures to better track the sources of water as it moves through the basin, looking at the inflows into the basin and the runoff, as well as the geophysics. So the plan is that they would go back out there kind of during peak recharge time. When they were out there last time, the water level, it was kind of post recharge, and so the water levels had declined a little bit. So they want to go back out there when the water levels are higher, kind of in a different state. So the thought is that it'll enhance some of the geophysical markers that may be out there. And then continuing work on the hydro stratigraphy of the basin. And so again, this effort, a lot of it's in the San Bernardino Basin, as well as kind of wrapping up this sources of groundwater recharge in the Yucaipa Basin. And then a new task this coming fiscal year is siting a new multi-level monitoring well. A lot of our well sites are kind of within the San Bernardino area and the pressure zone. And then we have a couple on the far east, but we don't really have anything in the middle. And so our hope is that this well will provide additional information as the water moves from recharge into the pressure zone of the basin. And so here's the cost. You can see the total program cost is $874,186. The USGS is proposing to contribute close to $200,000. And I just want to note that if you were to look at last year's contribution, they've actually increased it about $70,000 this year, which is pretty awesome. And then the work being done in Yucaipa will be a joint effort shared with PASS, and they're proposing to contribute $2,000, leaving San Bernardino Valley to fund $676,572. And I believe that's the end of the water resources investigation.
You
So,
want to stay there for a second?
yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Any questions for?
Just one, not very many anachronisms skip past me, but when the slide that shows the ADCP measurement. ADCP, I just can't.
Which one was that one?
It's on the slide on hydrologic data collection and monitoring program. Go right,
I'm sorry. Oh, it's there?
That was the
Yeah.
photo, yes.
ADCP, right there, the third picture.
ADCP.
Acoustic Doppler.
ADCP.
That's a new one for me too. I don't know, maybe Jonathan, if
Channel profiler.
What?
Acoustic Doppler channel profiler.
Acoustic?
Doppler.
Okay, that's what it.
And Jonathan can tell you all about how that's actually done. If you have further questions, Jonathan.
No, I just, I'll remember that that you told me what it is. But yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Longo. Any other questions for Greg? I have a question for you, sir.
yes, sir.
So you're talking about all these measurements, right? Do they also measure water quality, contaminant? And that's not part of the.
They're collecting a wide suite of analytes. Some water quality contaminants may be captured in that. Their focus is more kind of holistically, kind of the state of the basin, but some of those would be picked up in some of the sampling as well.
Okay.
And if I could add, actually, we requested that they do some PFAS sampling in
Good.
surface water. And so we actually are starting to add in some water quality components under the USGS scope of work.
Yeah, so I just thank you for that, because it just seemed to me when you were giving your report that this is some really good stuff, right? But I was wondering if we could kind of drill down a little bit and start looking at contaminants. That's it.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Joanna Gibson. Joanna.
Good afternoon. Move this down. So this item is a continuation of the annual surveys that are done along the Santa Ana River. And we are, the USGS oversees the study design, data collection, and analysis of this effort. I believe this is year 12 of the surveys. The collecting data on Santa Ana sucker and other native species in the Santa Ana River is a requirement of existing water permits. And the reason that we are using the USGS is because we're investing in a robust, defensible data set that's critically important for our water infrastructure projects and existing permits and forthcoming permits. It's just a couple of nice pictures. On the left, we've got the newly constructed Anza Creek, and on the right, we have some pictures of, I believe they are larval Santa Ana sucker. So Anza Creek will be part of the survey area when the USGS comes down for that effort. Something new this year, the USGS has requested that we enter into a 3-year agreement with them. And this is really just to alleviate the administrative burden on their side. So we would still be bringing back every year for your consideration costs associated with this effort. So the total for this coming year, this fiscal year, total program cost is $192,412. The US is providing some cost share, which leaves the net cost to San Bernardino Valley after we've subtracted the amount that will be paid by the HCP partners to $63,982. And I believe that's the last one. I can answer any questions if you have any.
Yeah, any questions from the board?
When do you anticipate the HCP partners making these payments?
Some of them have been already making payments. So Sterling Natural Resources or East Valley Water District contributes about 30% of the costs. So we have been recovering those costs. And the remaining costs will be billed to them as soon as we get the document across the finish line.
By the JPA?
It'll be by the individual agencies that have hydrologic impacts today. So there'll be some upfront costs that will be billed to the partners as soon as we get it across the finish line. So it'll be sort of like administrative burden of getting the documents to that point.
So they'll
And then
pay
there'll be-
Valley directly.
Yeah, and then there'll be ongoing costs moving forward that the JPA would be overseeing.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Joanna? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So all of that said, and again, we're all available for more questions if there are any or if any others come up. But the total cost of the cooperative program for all three, included in the three agreements, is $2,411,358. USGS will contribute a total of $387,019. The Water Master Partners will contribute a total of $283,516. Pass Agency will contribute a total of $18,682,000, and HCP Partners will contribute a total of $95,973, bringing San Bernardino Valley's net total contribution to $1,626,167. And all that said, staff recommends the Board of Directors authorize the CEO General Manager to execute joint funding agreements for fiscal year 26-27 with the USGS for the following aspects of the cooperative program: the Hydrologic Data Collection and Monitoring Program, the Water Resources Investigations, the support services from the USGS California Water Science Center to conduct native fish surveys and data analyses work, and the 3-year agreement for the native fish survey.
Wow, great.
A long recommendation.
Yeah, so do we have any questions before? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll move staff's recommendation.
Okay,
second.
great. We have a first and a second. Mr. Clerk, will you take the roll, please?
Director Lonville, Director Velasquez,
Yes.
Director Keelhold,
Aye.
and Vice President Mateo.
Yes.
The motion carries. The staff recommendation for item 2.2 is approved.
Yeah, thank you to all three of you. That was great. Thank you, Pinto. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Item 3.1 is the State Water Project update. That's going to be brought to us again by Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President and members of the board. Yes, happy to provide the State Water Project update. As I said, it's been a very busy time up in Sacramento, a lot of movement on State Water Project items, on sites items, and on the Delta Conveyance Project, and I'll be providing updates on that today. So first, want to talk about some challenges. And so DWR has implemented an incident command team structure for the Golden Mussel. The pictures to the right, the upper picture is of a screen coming out of the south end of the Delta. And the picture below are the golden mussels that they scraped off of that screen. So we are not talking about one or two little
Wow.
mussels. We are talking about a very aggressive invasive species. So the state
That
water,
came off of one screen.
yes. And there, you know, there'll be like 12 of these screens. And so they just keep rotating and doing a cleaning cycle on them. And it's really becoming a bigger issue in the Central Valley as well. And as you kind of move down. The state water contractors and Department of Fish and Wildlife are meeting monthly to coordinate on response efforts. And then Department of Fish and Wildlife has amended some of their regulations and is now requiring a control plan be developed for any agencies that experience the presence of golden mussels. And I can remind you guys now that we have not had a presence of golden mussels. We have settling plates at Citrus Reservoir. We're kind of looking throughout our systems as we do maintenance. And knock on wood, although we know they're in Lake Silverwood and at Devil Canyon Afterbays, they have not shown up in our system, and that's primarily because of the earth tech treatment that we've been adding.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah,
So I remember that clearly. And I thought that we were sharing lessons learned with DWR, right?
we are with DWR, and with this monthly coordination of the state water contractors and with DFW, we are sharing those lessons. We're hearing from other people about other treatment methods they're trying and using. We're hearing about the difficulty of dewatering lines and everything else because how you have to handle this water. And so we're just trying to learn from each other, understand the cost impacts, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and even how to get the most out of the chemical you apply. So even like into the details of application of treatment.
Okay,
So yeah, we continue to coordinate on that.
thank you.
I also wanted to share that DWR's pilot project for adding chemical treatment in the Devil Canyon First Afterbay to eliminate golden mussels within the Foothill and Devil Canyon Azusa pipelines has been successful, and we will be continuing this effort. In parallel to that, San Gabriel Valley, San Gorgonio Pass, and San Bernardino Valley have requested that DWR evaluate a permanent treatment facilities. And so we'll move away from this pilot into true treatment facilities because unfortunately, we're probably going to be dealing with this issue for years. And then just wanted to share too, some information that we learned is Metropolitan is now coordinating with DWR and is considering adding chemical treatment to their Devil Canyon second Afterbay to protect treatment to their facilities. So that's kind of reassurance that, the actions we took early are kind of coming to fruition. People are taking note and starting to use that same methodology. And I just wanted to thank those that came before me and the current team of adding these earth tech treatment systems. So Mike Esker, Aaron Jones, Brent Adair have all been had great foresight into putting in these facilities early. Wynn was involved. And so they are paying dividends for us now and keeping our system protected.
Through Chair.
Sure.
On that, Michael, I just want to just express the gratitude to staff and to Heather for really the quick response you guys did going up the chain of DWR and really getting this pilot study to make sure that our west end side of our district was free from mussels. And I really want to thank staff and Heather for that. I want to be on the record.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Director.
And on that note, I've said this to DWR directly, and I'll say it here. It's been a pleasure to work with them. They have been so responsive. They really had a can-do attitude, and it's worked out well for all of us. And I really thank them for protecting hundreds of millions of dollars of water supply infrastructure. And so that coordination will continue. Moving on to other challenges with the State Water Project. And as we know, subsidence up in the Central Valley is an issue that we are facing. I got an update from DWR, and I wanted to kind of share that with the board here today. And so this is just the interim action. This is kind of the Band-Aid to the permanent fix. As you can see, this is about a $75 million Band-Aid. It would repair about 46 miles of canal. And then the price split, the water that moves through there is both State Water Project and Central Valley Project. And so there's a cost share there, and it's about 3/4 State Water Project, 1/4 CVP. And so you can see that this interim action of building additional kind of wing walls, so they're going to fill in the dirt. So the top picture is current conditions, and then the picture below is proposed remedy or the interim action. They're going to fill in with soil and then concrete and basically extend up wing walls to give us a little bit more freeboard and allow more conveyance capacity within the system. Like I said, the Band-Aid, the interim action, is going to be about $75 million. And the CVP has already secured $50 million, I think, from the big, beautiful bill. And then we are going to be going after Prop 4 funds for our roughly $60 million of subsidence repairs. So we're hoping that grant money is going to cover a lot or most of this interim action. But I did want to remind all of us that the permanent solution from DWR's perspective is over $3 billion in permanent repairs. Again, there's roadways, there's bridges, all of that has to go into consideration as we're doing these repairs. And so of that more than $3 billion anticipated repair, and those are in 2025 dollars, so that will go up over time. The State Water Project portion is about $2 billion, and we are anticipating those costs and trying to plan for the future as they come. The next thing I wanted to share is you guys may be aware, I know Jackson Galco gave an update and shared that Governor Newsom has appointed Tom Gibson as the new director for California Department of Water Resources. He brings decades of water industry, regulatory, legal, and State Water Project leadership experience to advance the system modernization, subsidence repairs, water reliability, and long-term water security. As you well know, Carla Nemeth was the prior director. She started in 2018, and she will be greatly missed. But she is now the executive director of Aqua, so we will continue to work with her in that capacity. And I just wanted to also share that State Water contractors have that they know Tom, and we look forward to continuing to work with him and his DWR team. Also wanted to provide an update that we are spending a little bit of time on as staff, both Cindy and myself, is the State Water contractors are working with DWR on the WSRB debt service billing project. The WSRB stands for Water System Revenue Bonds. And so basically DWR brought in some new accounting software, saw some discrepancies, and now are kind of truing up the books. And so this is a multi-year process, but we're hoping that we find resolution in 2027.
Director Longville.
And would the debt service amounts, excuse me, would having the debt service amount known result in them being on our statement of charges?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How soon could we happen?
The goal actually is if we can find resolution in 2027, it would go onto our 2028 statement of charges. So that's the goal. And on our side, where we're seeing the different numbers for specifically San Bernardino Valley has been having to do with the East Branch extension that happened many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But just the way that debt financing was handled, there needs to be a true up of what we've paid versus what the actual costs were. So more to come on that as we negotiate with DWR and find resolution to this matter. This is my last slide on State Water Project items, and then I'll move on to sites. But for San Luis Reservoir, I wanted to show this graphic here. This is storage levels within the reservoir as of mid-July. What you're seeing, a lot of this water is state water contractors carryover from 2025 into 2026. There is some operational water in there, but a bulk of this is stored water, agency stored water from prior years. DWR is already anticipating, due to this anticipated wet El Nino conditions, that this water could be subject to spill. But I wanted to share with the board that we did have several thousand acre feet of storage at the beginning of the year, but we moved that water out first. And so the water that we have in our portfolio right now is just our table A water, not subject to spill. And so we're protected, but there's some other agencies that aren't as fortunate and are using this reservoir for a wide spot in their system or storage within their system. And so DWR is anticipating with the wet El Nino that some of this water could spill. Like I said, that actually turns into Article 21 water. And so the Water Resources team is starting to plan for how can we receive and take benefit of that Article 21 water if it materializes. That's there. And then so on the Sites Reservoir project, some really good news. The Sites Authority, I think I shared with you in past months that they applied for additional Prop 1 funds for the project. And I'm come back here today to share with you that they were awarded $270 million of additional dollars of Prop 1 funds, which brings the total Prop 1 funding for Sites Reservoir project to over $1.3 billion, $1.36 billion. So great news. And then really the biggest thing happening with sites right now, we're very busy on the project, but really all things lead through the water rights process. And so I wanted to give you guys an update that on July 24th, the AHO, the Administrative Hearing Officer, requested a special hearing to hear the project application or Sites Reservoir Sites Authority, some of the evidence that they presented on the draft water rights and what the impact was going to be on water supply. And the HO found that evidence compelling, and she called additional days of testimony, and so kind of got more information from us on those impacts. We take that as a positive sign that they're really considering the water supply aspect of this project and the cost effectiveness of this project. And so I wanted to share that with the board. But a date I wanted to share is that on September 3rd, we're anticipating that the revised draft water right will be released. That will be followed by a 30-day comment period. And then it is anticipated before the end of the year that the AHO will submit their revised draft order to the State Water Board for their determination for a site's water right in 2026. And that's kind of the last linchpin component that can really quantify the benefit of this project. And then we will move into the investor commitment period. In addition to that, I just wanted to share that the Sites Authority has been very busy. There's probably more than a dozen or so agreements that need to fall into place before we will consider our investor commitment. Investor commitment. And I just wanted to share here that Sites is kind of systematically getting these agreements completed. And so they've made some good progress, more to come. And then again, ultimately, at the very end portion of this year or beginning of next year, we might be back with a Sites investor commitment request. Moving on to the Delta Conveyance Project. There is a water rights application in front of the State Board too, or the Administrative Hearing Officer for the Delta Conveyance Project. This one is on a change of point of diversion, and we're anticipating the new permit in late 2027. I also have provided previous updates that the geotechnical investigation along the alignment of the tunnel got put on hold because of lawsuits and then ultimately injunctions on that work. I'm happy to share that those injunctions have been lifted and that the geotech investigation will commence or begin again later this year. So we've budgeted that within our fiscal year 26, 27, and that work will begin, which is very exciting because that will allow them to continue with the design process. And then DWR is working on contract amendment language to include the DCP cost recovery and the allocation of benefits to each of the project's participants' state water project contract. So this is just a necessary step of that it can be added to our statement of charges, and this is how it would be done. And then the last bit of good news on the Delta Conveyance project is on June 26th, NEPA is officially complete. A DWR has received a record of decision from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So we have our CEQA approved. Now we have our NEPA approved. And so that's, again, just another milestone for the project. And lastly, I wanted to end on missed opportunities, or why are we even considering the Delta Conveyance project? And so this is put out by the Delta Conveyance Authority. And what it shows is from 2022 to May, or basically June of 2026, that there would have been 2.65 million acre feet that could have been moved through the Delta Conveyance project. And I just want to share that the DCP, once in place, will increase the overall reliability of state water project supplies while ensuring the Delta ecosystem is protected. An increased state water project reliability increases the reliability of the imported water that we can provide our retail customers in both wet and dry conditions. The project allows for increased operational flexibility. It will reduce pumping limitations on the South Delta pumps and will increase exports to south of Delta users like retailers within San Bernardino Valley. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on the State Water Project, Sites Project, or Delta Conveyance Project.
Any questions for Michael? I have a couple. Could we go back to sites?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, the water rights originally it was what, 1.5 million?
Yes. So I'd like to clarify that just in case there's any misunderstanding or misinformation out there. The original application was for 1.5 million acre feet, maximum diversion in a single year. The draft permit was for 980,000 acre feet. And so that's about 65% of the requested amount. We are cautiously optimistic that due to some of the questions from out of the AHO and some of the letters that were provided, that we are anticipating that this updated draft actually goes above the 980,000 that was originally listed in the draft permit from March. So,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that water right as it stands now, I know it's being reviewed, but that is pivotal and will dictate who stays on as an investor, including Metropolitan. They're not real happy with that.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. But I do want to say that recognition by the state board that there's 980,000 acre feet of water available off the Sacramento River while still being protective of the Delta is amazing in and of itself. And the last water right of that magnitude was in the 1960s. So it just gives you a sense of how important and large this project is. There's water right applications every year, but nothing in the million acre foot range.
Well,
like
it's
Sites is
definitely new water.
Yep.
So I get that. And then finally, you're gonna make sure that this board is aware of the fact that if they try to get us to sign a contract, the Sites Authority, before the water rights are settled, and also getting a clearer look at land acquisition, what that's going to cost. Are you're steadfast that we're not going to do that, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously in conjunction with Heather and Wynn and this board, but the direction I have right now is that we will not be bringing a sites investor commitment to this board until those water rights are finalized. There's still some talk within the sites family on whether people could go and consider this contingent on the water rights, but that is maybe not something we want to do. And again, we'll take direction from this board and from Heather and Wynn. But right now, I communicate back to them that we need to see the final water rights, and we need to see all of these agreements, including the facility use agreements. We have to understand how water moves in and out. It cannot be contingent on future agreements. The whole package has to be put together. We have to understand all of the costs associated with this project, what this water will cost when it hits our doorstep, and then also the quantifying the benefit which comes out of the water right. And so we need to know the costs, we need to know the benefit for this board to make an informed decision.
And then finally, has it been determined or decided what it's going to cost to convey sites water? And we're going to use Delta Conveyance.
So the projects are really independent. There could be some benefits when they're both constructed, but they're really on two different timelines. And sites has its own benefits in and of itself. There'll just be more opportunities once DCP is constructed. But we are understanding the conveyance costs, and again, I just want to reiterate that this project stands on itself, and we have this exchange agreement, that's a different one, but there's another one with DWR, maybe it's not, this one, DWR Reclamation and Sites Operation Agreement. This is going to be that handshake of how DWR will accept sites water, and then we will move it through our conveyance capacity in the state water project system that we're not utilizing for our table A. So in a drought year, when there's a low table A allocation and there's conveyance capacity in the aqueduct, this is the agreement that memorializes that relationship.
Okay, great. That wasn't real clear. Perfect. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay, no other questions, we can move on. Okay, reports 3.2, director's reports of activities and travel requests in accordance with resolution 1100. Just for the record, I want to state that Director Harrison is at a workshop on FIRO today, so that's why he's not in attendance. So he won't be giving his report today. We'll start with Director Kilhold.
I have no activities to report.
Great. Director Velasquez.
Thank you. July 28th, I did attend the City of Rialto City Council meeting. And on the July 30th, I did attend Yucaipa Valley Water District dedication ceremony event for the water filtration facility, which is hosted greatly. I really learned a lot. And I want to thank JM Joe and all staff from Yucaipa Valley District. That completes my report.
Thank you, sir. Director Longville.
Since our last meeting on July 22nd, I attended the SAPA Community Strategic Plan hearing at the district. It was, I was really glad that I came. Thank you, Director Berteo. On the 24th, I did listen to the State Water Resources Control Board hearing on the site's water rights. And I appreciate your presentation, Michael, because it pulls it all together. But that was a fascinating hearing, understanding, what the difference is between the 980 and the 1.5. On the 28th, I attended the check presentation for our demand management program with the San Bernardino Municipal Water District. And we gave them their $60,000. Is it 60?
Yes.
Yeah, 60. And on the 30th, I was also out at Yucaipa Valley Water District to do the dedication for the new microgrid and water filtration system. And I enjoyed being able to walk in there and see how that thing is all managed by SCADA and there's just no people. It's fascinating. What a project. It is at 1.2 million gallons per day.
Wow.
Yeah. Incredible. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Director Longville. I only have one thing to report. On the 29th, I also, along with Director Longville and staff, we did a demand management check to San Bernardino Municipal Water District. That was great. Also, I took the opportunity to report out to their board the action that we took in terms of lowering the ad valorem. And in fact, I'll be going to Director Longville, you can join me if you want on Wednesday, the city council meeting for San Bernardino. And I'm going to pass out I know they received our press release, but I'm going to make an announcement just at public comment and make sure that the ratepayers in San Bernardino know the action that we took. It's a historic lowering of the ad valorem.
Do you mean you're going to attend tomorrow?
Yes.
At what time?
At it starts at 5.
At 5. Okay. I'll join you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. General Counsel report. Thank you, sir. Treasurer's report, Susan.
Yes. In the month of June 2026, I'd like to ask the board to approve the cash disbursements for the State Water Project of $63,910.97, and for the general fund, $3,520,541.58.
Okay, she moves that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Clerk?
Director Keelhold,
Aye.
Director Longville.
Aye.
Director Velasquez
Yes.
and Vice President Mateo.
Yes.
The motion carries. The June Treasurer's report is approved.
Okay, do we have, I don't know if anyone hosted an ad hoc or standing committee, any meetings this month? I don't think so. Okay, let's move on. SAPA meeting report. Okay, we had a SAPA meeting today, August 4th, at 9:30 this morning, and the commission authorized the general manager to execute a general services agreement with Engineering Solutions Services, Inc., ESS, for on-call grant writing and funding support services for an initial term through June 2028 and an initial aggregate not to exceed amount of $146,500 for fiscal year ending 2027, subject to final contract negotiations and legal review. I want to make a comment about that action. That is a very a comprehensive report, and the company that they offered this contract to has done business with San Bernardino Valley. And the interesting or exciting thing about what we're doing at SAPA is we're going to be able to pivot if there's an opportunity to go after like grant monies. Unlike what Joanna does so well. And we're hopefully going to be able to go after a lot of funding to do some of the innovative infrastructure projects that we have planned for the Santa Ana River. And then the commission approved the salary schedule for the fiscal year 2027 as required by CalPERS. The commission also received and filed the following information reports: SAPA strategic plan update, and education outreach program update, regional events and community engagement highlights. We also had, after our commission meeting, the PA 24 committee meeting, which is chaired by our president. I sat in today. The committee approved the following: received and filed a status report, retroactively authorized the general manager to issue work orders to contractors for an amount to be determined to contain the spill and make repairs due to the damage caused by the Reach 5 pipeline failure and spill along the brine line. Retroactively directed staff to pay all expenses from Brine Life Self-Insurance Fund, to file a claim with SAPA's insurance carriers, and to deposit any insurance payments received into the self-insurance fund. Finally, the committee received and filed the following informational report: Inland Empire Brine Line 10-year capital improvement plan. That's it, sir. Everyone. Next. Okay, do we have any future business? Hearing none, let's move on. Mr. Clerk, do you have any announcements?
Yes, Mr. Vice President. For the announcements for the month of August, we have all regularly scheduled meetings, and we did want to highlight for this month that we do have the Southern California BIA Water Conference that will be held in Ontario on August 14th, and San Bernardino Valley will be having a table. Pending any questions from the board, that's all we have for announcements.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Hearing none, let's move on. There is no closed session today, so we're good. And before adjournment, I did want to thank you, Kelly. Director Longway and I were in error. It was $40,000 check that we presented to San Bernardino. We stayed at 60. Yeah, so stand corrected. Our agenda is complete. We did a great job. We didn't hear from Wynn. So that's good. We were okay. We are adjourned. Thank you.